Oman in a Toyota Land Cruiser 6x6. Both of these are totally new concepts for me. What will I find as I enter this ancient desert world? Will my vehicle live up to all the hype? That's what I'm here to discover as my mount and I take on the mountains, wadis, ancient cities and fabulous beaches. As we warm our water for our evening shower, I have time to reflect on the day. We left our dune camp just after sunrise, crossed the border into Oman and began our climb into the foothills of the Al Hajara Mountains. I'm travelling with my wife Gwyn and our hosts Sean and Andronette Meyer, South African expats who have made touring this country an obsession. Our expedition has already had us enjoying the fruits of Dubai on the Persian Gulf.
That was just beautiful. All the boats, I mean, nobody hit each other. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's organised chaos.
And for the next 5 days, we will be exploring these desert mountains, ending our trip on a beach on the Arabian Sea. One of the first things we did when entering Oman was top up our fuel tanks. How much is that? 15.50.
15 riyal, 500.
About 29 pounds. That's about $35 to fill it. That translates to 26p or 36 US cents per litre. That makes overlanding in Oman one of the cheapest places in the world. Best part of the evening, of course. We've arrived at our campsite. Sean has brought us to this magnificent spot. It's not very far from a town, probably no more than 20 minutes or so. It feels very remote, and I wouldn't say similar to the Richtersveld, I would say identical to the Richtersveld. The areas of the Richtersveld, which is the far northwestern Cape province in South Africa. It's the only mountain desert in southern Africa, and the colours, even the trees, it's the same. It's more than the same. It's identical, and the Richtersveld is beautiful, and so is this mountain desert. First time I've ever been to a mountain desert outside of Africa. Absolutely exquisite. Driving through Oman, fantastic sense of history all the time. You come into these villages and you get modern homes, but you also get structures like that. Now the local chap who lives in the house right next to it says in his very broken English that it's 1,000 years old. Sean reckons he probably has dropped a decimal point, probably closer to 100 years old. But they are, well, unlike anything I've ever seen before. Deeper and deeper into the mountains we go. The 6x6 is attracting a lot of local attention. Right now, this is the beauty shot for the show, for the series, for the expedition. Beauty shot on the edge of the Grand Canyon, the country of Oman, and I'm not going to look over there because it'll probably make me feel queasy, but I will photograph it. This here they call the Grand Canyon of Oman. So far, the Grand Canyon is the only touristy spot that we've so far come across in Oman. We have climbed, amazingly, in the last 21 kilometers from 400 feet above sea level to 2,100 meters. It's been quite a climb. Yo! Now that is a hero shot. Oman
Like
isn't
a
a
step?
touristy place. There are no
Proper for
commercial
me.
campsites and few things that tourists would want to buy. And that's one of the reasons I like it so much. Gwyn did find some woolen bangles for my daughters. Camped now on a high plateau with the sun setting. Time for good food and good conversation. I asked Sean, where exactly are we?
Right, so we're in Oman, the Hajj Mountains. So the Hajj mountain range stretches from UAE through the Oman, well, I suppose, yeah, it's the northern and western side, all the way to the coast.
Right.
And we're at a place called Jebel Shams. Now, Jebel is mountain, and it's one of the tallest mountains in the Oman Hajj mountain range.
Right.
So we just passed Jebel Shams, the pinnacle, and the Grand Canyon, which we saw earlier today. And we're in a little riverbed with a phenomenal sunset over here on the cliff as such. Best camp spot in the world as far as I'm concerned.
Those of you who have done overlanding and wild camping, whether in the mountains or on the open plains, only you will understand the feeling of waking up at daybreak in a place that is, well, it feels as if you're the first humans that have ever been there.
Well, good morning. Day 4. Cup of coffee. Woken up to brilliant sunshine. Actually a little bit of a late start for me. I slept in because I knew that as the sun would come up it would be quite high because of the hills, therefore very bright, therefore not ideal for photography, and even had enough time for shooting to comb my hair, although it doesn't look like it, and have a cup of coffee. Today we have a completely open day. We can choose what we want to do. I went around the campfire last night, lovely conversation until midnight, and I think what we're going to do this morning is talk about that truck, that six-wheel drive truck. What's it like to drive? Odd is the wrong word. Interesting, I think, is probably the better word. The way it rides on corrugations is very unusual. The way it tackles obstacles, the dune driving we've already seen. It's an amazing conversion. It's not just another axle behind the second axle. And I'm going to show you that and why I don't think it's just another axle this morning.
That is, of course, after pancakes and jam for breakfast.
How good is that?
Oh, look. Goats.
Sheep.
Yeah, those are sheep.
They're sheep.
Yeah.
They are sheep.
Yeah.
Silly me. I like goats.
They look like goats.
I expected goats.
Yeah. The goats came past this morning.
So now, most six-wheel drive vehicles, and if I include the Mercedes Geländewagen six-wheel drive, for example, there is no direct link in terms of the suspension between the second axle and the third axle. The way the last extra axle is located is the same as the front axle.
But with this multi-drive system, they are not independent. They are linked together.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to film the axles and the springs working over this obstacle. Sean, if you can put it in reverse for me and go back and park the back wheel, the front of the back wheels on that rock again.
With this design, when the second axle moves up, it pushes mechanically the third axle down.
Okay, now move forward very slowly.
This means that the weight load is shared equally by both rear axles, no matter the terrain, within its limits, of course. And it has the uncanny effect of smoothing the ride to a remarkable degree. The front wheel lifts, it pushes the back down. Let's say it lifted 30 centimeters. It pushes the back down, let's say 30 centimeters, give or take variances caused by the springs. So if the front wheel lifts 30 centimeters, it pushes the back wheel down 30 centimeters. The net result is the bump is reduced from a 30 centimeter bump to a 15 centimeter bump. I admit that is a simplistic way of looking at it, but the end result is the ride over rocks and rough stuff is amazingly smooth.
I must compare the six-wheel Land Cruiser with an ordinary four-wheel Land Cruiser pickup. Handling on an open road, such as this winding mountain road, is remarkably similar. This vehicle is heavier at the back. I do feel that there is a difference in handling. But to be truthful, only now am I feeling it. Because we have driven for 2 days in all kinds of terrain on tar. And the feel inside the vehicle in terms of handling, I can't really tell the difference. Where I can tell the difference is when it gets rough, when the road gets rough, and then the handling is very different indeed. I expected it to be a bit of a beast, a bit heavy, a bit kind of, that I would have to manhandle it around these mountain roads. Not really, maybe a little more, maybe a bit. But where the handling of this vehicle has excelled itself, and I am absolutely astonished by it, on a rough track, the handling of this vehicle, the ride particularly, is amazing. And that's because of this amazing double axle system that they built into the back of the vehicle.
More than 2,000 feet below Jebel Shams, this is the 400-year-old town called Al-Hamra.
I can't remember a pass this dramatic. It reminds me of stories that I've read about places in Pakistan, Afghanistan, the Khyber Pass. Just extraordinary. We drove for 10-15 minutes on this winding tar track, over the top, and suddenly this gravel track. It's exquisite. Really brilliant. Well, this is our campsite on day 4. It was quite concerning going down the path, because no travel information gives much information about the pass, and we had no idea that there was going to be a place to camp. And of course we arrived on the pass late in the day, and after an hour of twisting and turning you get to a point of no return where you realize, well, you have to continue, because if you turned back it would be dark by the time you found any flat ground on which to camp. But on the riverbed, on the wadi, we've come down approximately 2,000 feet on that gravel road. Sensational. So to conclude for the moment, my thoughts on the 6x6. Absolutely spectacular mountain pass. I had a crease on my face the whole way down. The vehicle performed brilliantly. What a pass. What a day it's been.